Okay, good afternoon, Rattlers. If I may have your attention, some of you may be wondering why some of us are wearing these coats today. These coats belong only to a selected few people who created amazing achievements on the gridiron and track and field and basketball. Gene, I told you you were on the road to a jacket. I may change my mind. I've kind of had second thoughts about wearing my jacket today because some of the ladies kind of getting out of hand on how good the old man looking today. Huh? Oh, Leroy? You notice he doesn't have a jacket, right? Now, if there are any Hall of Famers in the room who didn't get the memo and not wearing a jacket, could you hold your hand up if you just want to see who you are? Roy Moore put his hand halfway up. Well, I got a big announcement. I hope it disappoint a lot of you. This is going to be our last meeting for this summer. We won't return till July after this meeting. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is because some of you people are running out of money. But also, there are a combination of things, wedding anniversaries, family reunions. I tell Jerry when she'll get a break. I think I got to leave Jerry alone. They're not working anymore. I didn't mean that. We thought, now we may have a call meeting because I talked with Paul, the coolant guy, about when he's going to bring the coolant, and he's trying to work it out. He wanted to bring ours the same time he bring Florida State University's coolant. And so I'll let you know when that happens. If there's somebody very special come to town, we'll have a call meeting. But then there are some people who need a break. They're not as young as they used to be, although they still look young, handsome, and robust. Well, I'll take the fifth on that. Mm-hmm. But so we thought the good way to have our little summer break this summer was to leave with somebody very special in terms of Marvin Green, who's the chairperson of the Hall of Fame's committee. I'm going to let Vaughn introduce him because my memory is getting a little bad too. And I said, Vaughn, did Marvin run track? But before we bring up Vaughn, we have to hear from our illustrious president of the FAMU Boosters, Mr. Selvin Carr. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Hello, everybody. I hadn't had a personal opportunity to speak to. I'm going to be real brief. We have two sporting units or event teams that's competing for the rest of the year. And that's, we don't want to forget our 3 track players that's over in Jacksonville for the NCAA regionals. They competing this weekend. And also we got good news from Atlanta. We left about 12 runners on base, but we were able to pull it out. We had a 9-1 victory at the SWAC tournament. So congratulations to Coach Shoup. We're in the winner's bracket, and we're in good shape. We only used 2 pitchers. So that's always key when you in the tournament, double eliminations, you have to count those arms. I think Texas Southern is about finished because I think they use about 4 or 5 pitchers. So, and they're going in the loser's bracket. Too bad for them, good for us. We did have 5 players. We tied with Alabama State. We had 5 players to make first or second team baseball for SWAC. So we want to congratulate those 5 players. The other announcement that I have is we had our first meeting last night for the Rattler Booster volleyball football kickoff. Tentatively, and I'm saying tentatively, it's scheduled for Sunday, August the 27th. Good news and bad news in that we're getting 3 new scoreboards, video boards. One's going to be in Bragg, one's going to be in Lawson, and one's going to be in Gatham. Well, they're going to be here installing all 3 of them at the same time. So the Lawson Center will not be available for anything on the floor until the weekend of the 19th, which is that Saturday. So Dr. Kavanaugh didn't want to schedule anything in case they run over. So we pushed it back for a week. Right now it's Sunday afternoon on the 27th. You'll be getting more details be forthcoming on that. So that's it. Again, for those supporters and alumni who have not joined Rattler Boosters yet, I want to direct you to our website, www.famurattlerboosters.com, and you'll get all the information that you would need to become Rattler Boosters or make your donations. So thanks again, everybody. I see your hand. Oh, Eddie, was that your hand?
When is it going to be installed?
No, it's going to be in August. They're going August 19th is a scheduled date for them to have it completed.
And you schedule our first home game?
Our first home game is not until September 16th. So it'll be the scoreboards and everything will be in plenty of time for that. Okay. At this time, I always was told, I always do as I'm told. So Eddie told me, he said, well, how about bringing up Vaughn Wilson? So, so at this time, as they say in church, the next voice you will hear will be the illustrious Vaughn Wilson.
Thank you, President Cobb. Once again, as I always say, it's always an honor to stand in front of great rattlers like yourself. Today is a special day as we bring I still call him young man, who has, over the last couple of years, kind of reinvented how we look at the FAMU Sports Hall of Fame. His one main goal is to make sure that we celebrate our great athletes who are already Hall of Famers and make sure that people who are coming into the fold as new Hall of Famers feel special. He's very adamant that in the past, Hall of Famers were just that we didn't reach far out to make sure that they felt and knew they were special. So I've seen great strides, including the revamping of how the Hall of Fame was presented last year in Lee Hall, if you all saw that, how that is being upgraded. He's a Hall of Famer himself. He was a great FAMU golf coach. coached some of the best golfers, recruited and brought to FAMU some of the best black golfers in the country. Not only were these great golfers, but they were yearly won the highest GPA in the athletic department. He brought smart guys in. It was almost, it wasn't a requirement, but it seemed like going to SBI was a requirement because there's several business graduates on the golf team, but they've gone off to do spectacular things, including Representative Gallup Franklin was a member of his team. He has several members of his former golfers that he recruited that are now on the APGA tour, earning money and out in the industry. So he did a great job at FAMU as a coach, and now he's doing an exceptional job as the chairman of the FAMU Sports Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Marvin Green.
Thank you, Vaughn. Good afternoon. I so appreciate being here today, and I won't be long, but I wanted to just share a few things in regards to the Hall of Fame ceremony for this year. I thank Brother Jackson for asking me to come. And it's so, like Vaughn said, it's great to be around Rattlers, the spirit of true Rattlers who find a way to get things done no matter what. And that's what I believe the 220 Club represents. As a coach, I will say, as Vaughn was saying, that I believe that you have to recruit, you have to retain, and you have to graduate. That was the key. And so the thing I'm most proud about is not necessarily our record. We had some great runs. We were featured on HBO Real Sports with Brian Gumbo in the early 2000s because of our team. But I'm most proud of the fact that we had a 96% graduation rate. 96%. And just so you know, the only time that we lost golfers was when the program was temporarily cut. We had guys leave the program. So Eddie asked me to come today, and one of the first things Eddie said is, I want you to come and I want you to talk about the Hall of Fame class. I said, okay, I can do that. And then as he was about to get off the phone, he said something about, can you tell a few jokes? I said, well, damn, Eddie, what that got to do with the Hall of Fame class? I said, you mean like Def Comedy Jam? Eddie said, what's that? I said, well, it was a popular show in the 90s. On TV, it was comedians came on. Some of the best comedians came on. They told these jokes. Eddie said, oh, in the 90s? He said, well, I had lost my hearing in the 90s. So I said, what about Showtime at the Apollo? He said, oh, yeah, I got you. So you all know Eddie claims that he's a great track star, right? And I'm telling you, I was thoroughly impressed. I learned under the tutelage of Bob Carroll, the director of campus recreation at FAMU. I worked with Bob for 20 years. And Bob and I were on the track one time getting ready, preparing ourselves for the intramural track meet. And we see Eddie running. And I look at Bob. I said, man, who's that old man running? I said, that guy's, he's pretty good, pretty steady. Got a nice steady pace. And Eddie just moving his feet. And all of a sudden, as I go over to give Eddie credit for how fast he's running at that age, I see another little guy puckering by. And all of a sudden he says, speed it up, buddy. It was Dr. Stanley. I said, man, how you let Dr. Stanley beat you? But, you know, Eddie is always, you know, you all do a great job here weekly, and Heavenly Catering and Mr. Williams and his crew has the food here, and they got the chicken today. And I thought about the fact that whenever I see Eddie eating chicken, he reminds me of, look like Colonel Sanders. So that's Colonel Jackson today. But last but not least, Eddie's a young guy, but he's a legendary guy. You all need to understand and know that he's a true legend. And for those of you who don't know how much of a legend he is, you probably heard that in 1891, when the Rattlers were looking for their mascot, right? That first class and the first group of folks were on the hill and they were scouring the land, and they were just thinking, they were going out thinking about what they would call the mascot at this new university, FAMC. And as they're talking and they're discussing it, and one of them says, well, we on the highest of 7 hills. Why don't we call ourselves the Hilltoppers? And they say, Hilltoppers, that sounds okay. And then they say, well, you know, with the thunderstorms that we get in the summer every time, why don't we call ourselves the Thundercats? They said, Thundercats. No. And all of a sudden, they just keep on walking. All of a sudden, they see a little guy in the brush over there. He looks like a nomad. And he says, with all these Diamondbacks out here, why don't y'all call yourself the Rattlers? And they say, that's a good idea. We'll call ourselves the Rattlers. And so because there was a historian out there, he said, we want to properly document the guy who gave us this idea. And they said, excuse me, sir, can you tell us your name? He says, my name is Eddie, but they call me EJ. So I want y'all to meet Eddie Jackson, the guy who named the Rattlers in 1891, and he's still going strong. The FAMU Sports Hall of Fame, Colonel Rollins, Coach Tooks, started it in 1976 to recognize the great athletes and the great achievements of our athletic department and such. And I remember talking to Coach Tooks. I had the opportunity to talk to Coach Tooks several times because him also being my fraternity brother, whenever they wanted to make sure I came to a fraternity meeting, they said, Marvin, go get Coach Tooks, because they knew I would never say no to going to pick up Coach Tooks, right? I remember one of the first times Coach Tooks was really big. He used to be the intramural director. He was the men's golf coach, and he was the athletic director. So think about it. Sometimes you have mentors in your life early on that kind of guide you down a path that you don't even know you're being guided down, right? Because I was the intramural director and I was the men's golf coach, you know, and we had some great conversations. But I remember one time being in the car, Coach Tooks says, when he met me, I was coaching a golf team at the time. He said, man, you kind of a big guy to be a golfer. You know, Coach didn't hold back, right? He said, you're a big guy to be a golfer. I said, yeah, well, I took up golf a little later in life. He said, yeah. I said, but I used to play football. And I was bigger than I was in high school. He said, what'd you play, defensive tackle? I said, no, Coach, I was a running back. Dr. Ramsey eventually took over the Sports Hall of Fame. And in his leadership, the Hall of Fame took leaps and bounds and grew. Dr. Ramsey was a stickler for details. Attention to details was his claim. And I remember when he called me and told me that I made it into the Hall of Fame, he said, now, I'm going to need you to be on the committee too. And that was in April of 2016. He said, you're going to be on the committee as well. And I knew that was a lot of responsibility because I knew how serious and how committed he was to the Sports Hall of Fame. And unfortunately, that June, he passed. So, like I said, nobody other than Bob Carroll has mentioned me more than Dr. Joe Ramsey. And so to have those two men and Dr. Ramsey to be able to make that call to me, get that call from him, it was truly special. And so I wanted to make sure that I did my part when I got into this role. I wanted to make sure that we celebrate FAMU Rattlers. I want to make sure that you all have a great time when you come to the event. I want to make sure that the Hall of Famers feel special. And that's why I'm committed to what we're doing. So like Vaughn said, we're trying to change things up a little bit. We're trying to keep things traditional as we need to. We still have our historian. As you all know, Alvin Hollins is a great historian. He learned from the likes of Roosevelt Wilson, of course, Eddie Jackson as well, former sports information directors. And our committee's job is to make sure that we bring in quality members. I wanted to make sure one of the things we did that we have more women on our committee. FAMU has a great heritage of women athletics as well. And so we have the likes of Claudette Farmer, former women's basketball coach, Coach Wiggins, legendary softball coach, Mary Hill, she played softball and volleyball, Sarah Yates, who was our first director of women athletics, and of course, Benita Williams, who also ran track for FAMU. So we have women represented. And I say that because sometimes you got to be in a room to make a difference, right? 2 years ago, we inducted Marcy Smith out of Detroit, Michigan. The reason I say that's important is because Marcelina Smith played in 1992-93. She literally, in 1992, led the nation in home runs. for the not MEAC, not SWAC, not SIAC. She led the nation in home runs as a women's softball player here at FAMU. And I said to the committee, when I got on the committee, we were going through deliberations. I said, there's no way in the world a guy on the FAMU baseball team would have had to wait 20, 30 years to get into the Hall of Fame. That's the difference. You have to be in the room, though. And so it's all about having that representation in the room. And so I'm going to go through today just real quick and let you all know a little bit about our Hall of Famers and what we're going to be doing. The FAMU Sports Hall of Fame weekend is set for September 22nd through 23rd. September 22nd through 23rd. It is not the first weekend this year. It's not the first home game this year. Well, why is that? Because we go to Miami to play. We go to Tampa to play. And the first game is actually against the University of West Florida. And while we know the local folks will come and we want to be here in mass, we thought that people who have been traveling to Miami and traveling to Tampa might need a break, or they might take a break, I'll say, and won't come to the first game. So our Hall of Fame weekend is going to be September 22nd, 23rd, the weekend we play Alabama State. That's our first SWAC game. So just put that on your calendars. It's the Alabama State weekend. The FAMU Sports Hall of Fame will hold its 47th enshrinement Friday, September 22nd through Saturday, September 23rd. Our venue and ticketing details will be released shortly. Like Vaughn said earlier, last year we were in Lee Hall. It had an ESPYs feel to it. Then we had like a party in the Grand Ballroom. We're going to do something similar, and you'll get more information on that in June, forthcoming. But I promise you, you'll have a good time. We want the new honorees to feel celebrated, but we want the current members, when they come back, to have a good time. And that's why we wanted to add that socialization part to it. This year's enshrinement weekend will be dedicated to the memory of the late Ken Riley, the legendary student athlete, coach, and administrator who was elected to the prestigious Pro Football Hall of Fame this past January. I believe that deserves a round of applause. And again, like I said, people shouldn't have to wait. If people are deserving, they should be able to go into the Hall of Fame. And so here we are. We have one of our own who had to wait this long to get in. We can't do the same thing on our own campus. Also being honored by the Sports Hall of Fame this year will be the 1978 NCAA National Championship football team on the 45th anniversary of their historic victory in the inaugural Division I STS, which is 1AA playoffs, along with the retired FAMU General Counsel, Bishop Holyfield, whose persuasive legal appeal before the NCAA Membership Committee led the Rattlers' admission to 1AA. So we're going to recognize the championship team and also recognize the guy who put the paperwork in to make that appeal, to make sure that we went to 1AA in the first place, and we feel that that is something worthy of being honored. The female athletes, I don't know what, there you go, Vaughn. Man, Vaughn reads my mind. I ain't even look behind me. The female athletes to be honored include star point guard Brenda R. Fogel of the 1980s Rattler teams. I'll go through three first, Vaughn, then break them down. 6'6" center Teresa Jenkins, who led the nation in block shots in 1999. Two-time track and field All-American Nakia Linson, and softball pitcher Kenya Pereira, a three-time MEAC tournament MVP. If you all don't know who Kenya is, Google her, look her up, because the run that the Rattlers had, Coach Wiggins' last run, those girls, that particular team, that particular class from freshman year to senior year won 4 MEAC championships in a row. In 3 out of those years, Kenya was the tournament MVP as a pitcher. So Brenda Fogel, let you know a little bit about her. She was one of the first pure point guards in the early days of the Rattlerette basketball. She was a consummate facilitator, leading the team in assists 3 times, highlighted by a career best 142 dimes in 1981, 123 assists in 1982, and 90 assists in 1980, finishing number 9 on the FAMU career assist list. Brenda R. Fogel, point guard. Let's give her a hand. Next up, I'll use your cheat sheet. Teresa Jenkins, women's basketball, 6'6", led the nation in 1999 with 127 block shots. That team appeared in the NCAA tournament in 1995 and 1999. That was actually the first team that went to the NCAA tournament, by the way, coached by Claudette Farmer. Teresa Jenkins. Nakia Linson, track and field, sprinter, long jumper, 3-time NCAA track and field All-American, and she won 2 MEAC outdoor titles. Thank you. Kenya Piera, I messed up the last name. I'm so sorry. Kenya, softball pitcher, led the team to record 4 consecutive MEAC titles, 3-time MEAC tournament MVP, 4-time All MEAC, and Commissioner's All Academic List. So she was smart as well. The male athletes to be honored include the record-setting 1998 quarterback Patrick Bonner, hard-hitting gridiron defender Willie Brown of the 1980s, and track and field phenom Terrence Henson, who happens to be here with us today. Terrence, stand up. Take your early applause. And you'll see why in a minute Terrence is on the list. Patrick Bonner, football quarterback, FAMU record for season passing yards, MEAC Offensive Player of the Year, led the Rattlers to the 1998 National Championship. Think about it, 1978, 1998. I'm going to tell y'all now, get your tickets early because we got 1978 guys coming back. We got 1998 guys coming back. As a matter of fact, we already have a commitment from both of the coaches of those teams to be here at this year's Hall of Fame. Coach Rudy Hubbard and Coach Billy Joe. So give that a hand, please. Willie Brown, football linebacker, finished with 320 total tackles, co-defensive MVP in 1985. He was the team captain as a junior and a senior. And last but not least, the one and only, the legendary Terrence Henson, track and field, high jump. He set the FAMU record in 1981 with a 7-foot leap. That high jump record still stands today. So I know Terrence came from good old FAMU High, and I heard about his feats on that basketball court, but something tells me he probably jumped a lot of fences to be able to get up 7 foot on a regular basis. Congratulations, Terrence. Last but not least, supporter. In the supporter category, we have Dr. Janelle Baker. Dr. Baker is a former softball player who was a trauma nurse practitioner. She has worked on the football sidelines with the FAMU team doctors and medical staff for nearly 2 decades. She helped organize EMS services, not only for athletes, but for fans at FAMU home football games at the request of athletic director Ken Riley. She also contributed time and money in support of the FAMU softball team while a member of the team, enlisting her family's help in financially assisting the team. So Dr. Janelle Baker will be going in this year under the supporter category. Let's give her a hand. And I want to make sure I do right by the Hall of Famers that are here. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for wearing your jackets. Legendary Eddie Jackson, Selvin Cobb, contributor, supporter. You're talking about supporting in the 6-figure category support. Sometimes people, they give us a 4-figure check and they say, hey, I contributed to the organization. Not Selvin. Selvin has done it with several zeros behind his name. Tommy Mitchell, thank you, sir, for all you've done for the university in a variety of capacities. You all know Tommy, him and Eddie about the same age, I think, right? He's older? Okay, because I think Tommy founded the Harlem Globetrotters. He just wasn't on the team. But Tommy Mitchell, former NAA president, Tommy has done everything, man. Every category, Tommy got it checked. So, Tommy, we thank you so much for your contributions. And, of course, Vaughn Wilson, all that he does at the university, his parents did, his dad did as well, and all he's doing now. So we hope that you all will be able to get yourselves out here. You're going to have the tickets on what we call Eventbrite. I know some of our seasoned rattlers don't necessarily like the technology, but I promise you it's here to stay. It helps us because it allows us to capture email addresses and stay in contact with you as well. So you'll be able to purchase your tickets on Eventbrite. You'll be able to get an ad on Eventbrite as well. So that'll be up and out by June. And we're just excited. We're excited about being able to celebrate this class, but also just to be able to do our part to raise enough money and make enough money so that we can start giving back to the FAMU athletic department as well. We have some initial discussions with VP Sykes, and we're so excited about what she's doing and kind of where she's going. And so anything that she needs and her help and the support that she needs, we want to be able to help her fulfill the goals that she has for the department, not the goals that we have for the department, which of course is a big difference. So if nothing else, Juan got some.
I know he thought he was just going to come here and have lunch, but it was interesting talking to Terrence after he got the call. Just some history on me and Terrence. At FAMU High as a youngster, Johnny Williams had me as the water boy. So I used to carry Terrence pads sometime and all that kind of stuff down at FAMU High. But that guy played football, basketball, and ran track and jump. He was just an amazing athlete. So I was happy that he went to FAMU so I could continue to follow him. But Terrence, just come up and tell us real quick, what it meant when you got the call. And, on the day of the Hall of Fame, you only got 2.5 minutes. Today is your opportunity to really give your speech.
Hey, listen. Yes. Hey, let me first thank you all for this honor. Can you hear me? All right. Thank you, folks, for this privilege actually to join the ranks of the greats. Those that voted for me, I appreciate it. Those that didn't, I appreciate that too. It's all love. Huh? Wow. Wow. That's crazy. Thank you. My area is track and field is a little unusual with high jumping. When you think of track, especially at FAMU, you think speed, you think Bob Hayes, you think Ray Robinson, Javaro Sims, who went in last year, right? I got a chance to participate with him. So I'm a part of the less sexy part of track and field. I'm a high jumper. When Coach Lane came to me, that was my coach. He said, son, can you win me some meets? I said, Coach, if you buy me a shoe, this is one shoe that I needed. I said, I'll win you every meet I can. He said, that's not going to be good enough. Can you win me some meets? I said, Coach, if you buy me that shoe, I will win you as many meets as I can. He said, okay, I'm going to take a chance. He gave me a scholarship. And I did everything I could to win every meet that Coach put me in. The purpose of us winning in the field events was to give the track team a chance to win championships. Scoring those points on the field events gave us a chance to win championships. And that was my goal, just get in there and win. I don't know if I'm a different kind of rattler or just what. I was born at FAMU's hospital, went to FAMU High from kindergarten through 12th grade, across the street, went to the university. I bleed this stuff, stay right down the street from where Jake Ather used to live on Young Street. Y'all know Mr. Corsi? All right, I live in Mr. Corsi's house right now, right? So I mean, I see y'all, boy, it's orange and green. You cut me, it might be real. It might be, I'm telling you, it may be real. We had some heroes coming in back in our day. Cal Burgess, my brother Gerald, Ralph Givens, I grew up with winners, and it was ingrained in me to try and lead that for you guys. Johnny Williams was our coach. Johnny Williams was a winner. You talked about Coach Hansel took. But Johnny Williams would coach us in football. After practice, he'd go wash our uniforms. After that, he'd go out in the gym, clean down the gym, get it ready for a volleyball game, go fix the popcorn, set up the tickets. I'm serious. And then coach the volleyball team. So that's kind of, that's kind of leadership that I saw growing up. Sybil Mobley. I had a chance to study under her. And so, I'm ingrained as a Rattler. So I thank you guys. I thank you for this honor. And I'll serve you well.
Congratulations. I wanted to make sure, since Vaughn always has everything on YouTube, that the statute of limitations on those shoes that Coach Lane bought outside of the compliance department, right, is up. And Terrence don't have anybody corroborate his story since Coach Lang is no longer with us. So may he rest in peace. But Terrence, seriously, congratulations. Congratulations to the class. This year's ceremony, I'm sorry you all can't sit over here, but this year's ceremony is dedicated to the memory of the late Ken Riley as we celebrate his enshrinement into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We will have an exclusive behind-the-scenes video with the Riley family on the trek, or from the trek to Canton, Ohio. So we want to make sure that everybody that can. I talked to Coop Taylor with the Rattler F Club, the FAMU Sports Hall of Fame. We want to get as many people as we can to Canton, Ohio that weekend. You can stay in Cleveland. It's about 30, 40 minutes away. It's actually graduation weekend, summer graduation weekend. So that's the only faux pas in this thing, is that graduation happens that Friday. And I believe the delegation of the university administration will literally be probably on a maybe a private jet. I don't know. But they're going to be getting up to Canton, Ohio that weekend. So if there's nothing else, we just know that these folks need to be celebrated. And we're so glad that Coach Riley is finally going in. Coach Riley actually was the coach that gave me the opportunity to be the men's golf coach. So when you talk about just how all these things are full circle, Terrence, that was it. I was actually fortunate enough to teach golf, beginning golf because of Joe Ramsey, and eventually to coach golf because of Ken Riley. So I'm fortunate, I'm blessed to be a Rattler. And of course, my first boss, I always have to give him a shout out. My man, Colonel Ronald Joe. And he doesn't have his cufflinks on today, but Colonel Joe, man, you're talking about a guy who's always been first class, and you all know this. You're with him here with them every week. He has a pen he writes with, only that one pen he'll write with, right? He got a watch that match every set of, I don't know if it's a watch and boots and belt combination. So I don't know how he shot, but everything he has, the watch, the boots, and the belt, go together. And then, of course, he got his cufflinks. He always got to show those cufflinks. So, Colonel, thank you so much for all that you've been over the years. And Brother Gaines, how you doing? So you all are great. You all are legends. Let me say this: the 220 Club as a group is a Hall of Fame group, Eddie. So you're doing a great job. I know you know that. And one of the things we're going to be looking at, I will say this since we're talking about groups, I'll make this announcement here a little bit, because there are some teams that need to be recognized, but the line in the sand that we had to watch out for is that a team going into the Hall of Fame was something we had never done before. And so we actually are looking at that as a committee, because there are universities that induct teams into the Sports Hall of Fame. And so that's the sneak peek that you all get. So as Vaughn says, we're trying to change some things up. That'll be something you see coming down the line, where we have a few teams being inducted in the future. All right. God bless you. Thank you all for having me.
Before you get up, Mr. Jackson, I got a joke for you. This isn't really a joke, but Terrence brought up Johnny Williams, and he was my high school coach as well at FAMU High. And during that string where he set the state record for winning 3 state championships in a row, the first coach ever to do it. And I don't know if Terrence was still on the team at this time, but so when the team got into the playoffs, they would go into Thanksgiving weekend, and there was no school. So back then they still allow us to have 2 a days. So Coach Williams would have 2 a days, early morning practice about 6 o'clock, and then 1 in the afternoon. So my brother was older than me. We lived on Young Street, so we walked to practice every morning. And so one morning I get up and my brother's not there, and I'm like, I know we got to go to practice, and I'm not gonna wake mom and daddy up and ask them where Van is. And so we got down to the practice. I got down to the practice field at 5:30, and everybody's standing outside of the locker room. I don't know, Terrence, you remember, Terrence was probably gone. Everybody, all the players were standing outside the locker room trying to figure out what's going on because coach wasn't there to open up. So and we knew not to leave though. So about 6:15, Coach Williams comes, drives up to the gym with his boat still dripping water with my brother. My brother didn't even tell me he was going fishing. And so Coach Williams get out the car and say, hey, what y'all looking at? Get dressed. We got to practice.
Thank you, Vaughn. Thank you, Marvin. That was fantastic. It's a good way to start our little summer break. I want to mention a couple of things. But since Colonel Joe was mentioned, I don't know if you guys know it, but Colonel Joe was a distinguished military graduate of FAMU, and that means you go in the Army as an officer as a regular Army. But he has another claim to fame. We interned together at Lincoln High School our senior year, and I thought I was kind of a hotshot internship teacher, and Colonel Joe every day wore his ROTC uniform, and nobody wore a uniform like Colonel Joe. And after Colonel Joe showed up, nobody knew I was there. Yeah. A word about another Hall of Famer, and very few people know this, and it's unfortunate. But we have something called the Distinguished, what's the name of it? Distinguished Alumni Awards. I believe that was created by Tommy. Is that right, Tommy? Yeah, Tommy. We have the life membership in the National Alumni Association. That also was created by Tommy Mitchell. So let's give Tommy Mitchell a round of applause. Those are two major achievements. And Terrence, I was a little disappointed to know you only jumped 7 feet. They may have been won the championship in college, but I high jumped in high school. I think I'm gonna leave it at that. Yes, Will.
An update on everybody here probably knows Johnny Sessions.
Yeah.
I talked to her. I had an appointment here for me at the hospital. She was coming in as I get this, so she gave me an update. Right now, Johnny Sessions has liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. She said move to his back. She said they were gonna do chemo, but it's too weak for that.
Mm-hmm.
It said now his kidneys not functioning right. They're gonna let him go home in the next couple of days. She said because she said it would have to be a miracle for him to get over all of that. But he's eating. She said he had a stroke on one side, and had a stroke on the other side, had both strokes, but he still could use all his limbs. He could talk and stuff like that. She said she don't know what happened, but they're gonna let him go home in the next day or two, so he'll be home in the next day or two.
Will, I kind of wish it held that a little while. I had a couple of the stories I was going to tell. Now, let me see if I can get to me. Y'all, so you guys remember Dr. Stanley? And you know how he used to run on the track? And he was fast and he ran long. Sometimes 10 miles. And we would talk often on the track, and but he let me say, he used to talk often on the track because I couldn't get a word in. So one day I was on the track. I'd already run a couple of fast miles. So I looked across the side of the track and I saw him come in. So I said, I sped up. I said, I don't want to be bothered with Stanley today. And I really, going by at my top speed, wanted to get in one more fast lap. And I heard a voice said, the voice said, oh, young fella, you're not trying to outrun me, are you? And he was right there. I don't know how he did it. He was an amazing dude. So I slowed down and let him catch up. I want to tell one more Hall of Fame story, boy. Carl, who was the assistant principal at Lincoln High School when we were there? Mr. Nelson, who's a Hall of Famer. In a Hall of Fame meeting one night, Charlie Reed, who's a graduate of Jackson State, in the Jackson State Hall of Fame, but he was our director of athletics. And that's what I said, Walter Reed. Yeah. Somebody puts, yeah, Walter Reed. That's what I said. Juan, can you play this tape back? That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. But nobody loves Jackson State more than Walter Reed. He was always talking about Jackson State. But he was a great athletic director. Dr. Humphreys brought him here because athletics was in trouble at FAMU with the NCAA, and they brought him in, and he solved those issues while he was here. But one day in a meeting, we were thinking about doing something different with the Hall of Fame plaque. And Walter Reed said, I have a great idea, guys. He said, next week I'm going to bring the Jackson State Hall of Fame plaque. And he said, you know what y'all can do? Y'all can just take it just like it is, just where you see Jackson State name, just put Florida A&M. And Mr. Nelson literally climbed up on the table between us going after Walter Reed. We had to hold him off Walter Reed. You know, he seemed such a quiet, nice guy. He lost it on that. Anyway, Marvin, you finished this off on a high note. I think they'll come back when we come back in July. I think some of you guys may need a break yourself. Well, maybe not. Jerry has told me that I need one. Yeah. But anyway, let's keep Johnny in our prayers. Anybody got anything before we go? Yes. This is Maurice Jones. He drove up from Jacksonville. Yeah.
I want y'all to know the mayor that I was campaigning for won. First Democrat mayor, first mayor.
Okay.
She won, first female, first black. But I am alive. And I want to come to 220 and put that to rest. Roosevelt, James Caldwell, see, was alive. Now, the company appraiser, she didn't graduate from A&M. Her husband did, Richard Danforth. He owned the Urban League in Jacksonville. And the three kids finished in A&M. So we we in good hands, and with her and with the mayor. It was an upset, but it shows you what a coalition of people could do. And
All right.
what we need to do, don't forget the other people that were on the ballot. We had 4 blacks running for city council. So what that did, that drove the voter turnout up for them, and it helped the Democratic candidate win with the coalition. So Corrine Brown is back, and she's active. She worked hard. They church members, they worked hard. Her daughter's back in Jacksonville. She worked hard. It was a community effort because the Republicans really thought that they had millions of dollars. And the Negro sheriff, excuse me, the color they just got promoted to color. Color sheriff was in the Republican's back pocket campaigning for him. Called the mayor, a radical idea and all that. And the sad part of it about it, they all had to stand on the TV Thursday night and eat crow. Because she won by about 9,000 votes. And George, the property appraiser, won about 2,700 votes. So all that means about your vote doesn't count. Yeah. You need to put that to rest because the campaigning on the street, the emailing, and the coalition that she built, black and white. The Republican candidate didn't even carry the independents, and he lost a lot of moderate Republicans came over to the Democratic side. So that was the coalition that put it over. So for the next 4 years, we still got the colored sheriff because he would take a full office in July. But he's got to work with this mayor. We done called everything but the child of God for 4 years. And he called her radical. He called her everything. But now he's got to sit there and work with her. The city council is made up of most Republicans, but the idea of it is you have about 4 of those city council members who are moderate Republicans. So a lot of things may change with Jacksonville as it goes on. But I don't want to identify. Roosevelt had me out there in the cemetery.
Tommy.
Marie, the track team is in Jacksonville again at UNF. So, and anybody else who wants to know, track team is going to be there this week for the track team.
Oh, yeah, I saw him out there on the question yesterday.
Okay. Anybody else?
No, we still on YouTube. Can we stop it? I'll say something once we get off the YouTube.
Marvin, say one more thing.